The Storyteller is one of the crown jewels of Jim Henson's legacy. This imaginative short-format series, only 9 episodes long, plus a less exciting second season filmed later on with Michael Gambon replacing John Hurt. I mean, what's up with Gambon replacing revered actors? I mean, no disrespect meant, but he's like Sean Bean's understudy. Anyhow, the original Storyteller found an uneasy home on Friday night television, and John Hurt is wonderful in it. As much as I love The Muppets and Sesame Street, I have to say Henson's most inspiring works were his weirdest. Fraggle Rock was a multi-layered soap opera about manic troglodytes and their tiny, giant, and human-sized neighbors. The Dark Crystal turned the 80s fantasy craze on its head, making every inch of celluloid a synthetic creation. And Labyrinth swirled David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly into that mix. Henson's fairy tales were always dark and creepy, as honestly most of his work outside Sesame Street was. If you haven't seen The Muppet Musicians of Bremen, hold on to your hat. In 1972, Henson took a Grimm's fairy tale and turned it into Bayou nightmare fodder. The suicidal, non-rat-chasing blues singer Catgut opened my childhood mind up to the rawness of Billie Holiday and the glam of Carol Channing. That special was also certainly my intro into ragtime.
Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here.
20 years later, in the midst of professional struggles around the plague production of The Witches and his own divorce, Henson got as dark and creepy as he ever would. The Storyteller was Henson's Temple of Doom. He presented folk tales largely from Germany and Russia in a format that smoothly mixed live-action, CGI, and puppetry. Actor John Hurt, best known for his chest-bursting performances.
Oh, no. Not again.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
And the only memorable part of Disney's otherwise terrible Black Cauldron has a wonderful report with Brian Henson as his fireside dog, spitting tales about monsters and gods and hapless heroes. The entire series is visionary and casts off minor roles on the likes of Jonathan Pryce and Gabriel Anwar and Ellison Doody. Okay, Doody gets a leading role, but Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade had not come out yet, and the biggest thing she'd done yet in the States at this point was Jenny Flex in A View to a Kill. The studios didn't quite know what to make of it all. The pilot, which is pretty good, if not the series' best, was done by Steve Barron, the architect of the music videos for Billie Jean, Money for Nothing, and Take on Me, some of the most iconic visuals of MTV history. That music video feel carries on throughout the first season, with John Hurt's voice burbling over fluid visuals. The puppet monsters are less fantabulous than the characters walking across the fireplace and vases and frescoes. It took a lot of wrangling, but somehow Henson squeaked out 9 gorgeous episodes, out of which I'll really only dive into the best, The Soldier and Death. So, that episode. It combines a couple of Russian fairy tales into the marvelous story of a man who's so clever he terrifies both heaven and hell. A homeless veteran, he clevers his way into becoming a king, with the sacrifice of his hard-earned gifts of money and a beautiful whistle. The trick, it turns out, is a magical sack that forces anything he demands to get into it. At first, it's simply geese and little demons, but when he meets death itself, he commands death to get into that bag, which launches a whole monkey's paw of awful consequences, and a world that begs for death to return and resume its normal role. But returning death to the world doesn't actually help, because now death is terrified of the soldier, as is hell. Heaven wants nothing to do with him either. He ends up like Melmoth the Wanderer, roaming the earth with no release in sight. Henson directed this episode himself, with his meticulous and his enthusiasm shining through, but if you want to watch The Storyteller, do not start with this one. It's going to leave you disappointed with all the other episodes, as a viewing of Blink would leave you disappointed with all other Doctor Who. This is the problem with television, and with comic books, and rock and roll, and I suppose with YouTube videos. Once you've seen the best in a medium dedicated to bringing you more of the same is never enough. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please go enjoy The Storyteller, and forgive the YouTuber when they cannot measure up to their best.